Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ananya Biswas from the Indian Society of Calgary, welcoming you all on this very exciting and informative session. Thank you so much for you to join us this evening. We have a discussion, or rather debate, on a very important topic that has been creating a lot of furore back home in India, and is a one that we think needs more clarity, more information for all of us to base our opinions on. So what better idea than to have a healthy debate between opposing parties, but also get some factual, straightforward, and true information from experts in the field who are, you can say, the front line of the judicial system that is dealing with this. So we have a very special guest joining us this evening, bright and early from India. So without further ado, I'd like to tell our guests that today we're going to be talking about the ongoing farmer protest crisis that is happening in India. The farmers in India are currently protesting the 3 bills that were passed in September 2020, and they are of the opinion that it is going to be affecting their livelihoods more adversely, whereas the government is of the opinion that it has been done in their benefits. So it was important for our members of this group it was important for us to bring the members of our group together and have a healthy conversation about what is actually happening and bring some clarity to the issue. So without further ado, I'll just quickly introduce our panelists for tonight's conversation. So joining us from India, Advocate S. Vidhya, who is currently serving at the Chennai High Court. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. I'd like you to please introduce yourself for our members here at the Indian Society of Calgary.
Good morning to all in India. So I will start with a good morning, then good evening to all my friends in Canada. Thank you at the outset. I thank you all for giving the opportunity to talk in this forum. And the topic for discussion, of course, is the very debated, the recent farm enactments. So I'm just hoping for a very healthy discussion and looking forward to give my perspective. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And joining us on the two sides of the debate, first we have Manu Rishoria, a fellow Calgary resident who will be supporting these farm acts. So Manu, welcome. I'd like you to introduce yourself to our members.
Hi there, my name is Manu. I'm from India. I was born and raised over there. And I did my engineering BTech and some 7-8 years of working in India. Came to Canada in 2016, and I'm here for the last 4 years. India, I have a small family over here, and back home in India, we still own some farmland in the state of UP.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here, Manu. Really appreciate it. On the flip side of the coin, we have Arsh Gill, who will be supporting the ongoing protests that are currently happening in India. Arsh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. And my name is Arsh Gill, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I'm here from 2013. Back home, I'm from Firozpur area, and I'm from farming family. My dad is farmer, grandfather farmer, everybody is farmer. So thank you for this debate, and I really appreciate for all you are all together on this.
Thank you very much, Harsh. I guess this cause is definitely very close to your heart, and it was. I think the whole discussion came about in our group when there was a lot of activity within our group members, and a lot of them wanting to post certain things. And as a group, we have always maintained to keep our platform very neutral while addressing the issues that are happening back home in India. So we thought this was a great platform to bring some clarity. So I want to tell our audiences the farm acts that were passed were: number one, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill 2020, the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill 2020. So in the essence of time, I will quickly move on to Advocate S. Vidhya to give us an overview of what actually happened, what were these laws that were passed, and what do they really entail?
Thank you, Ananya. So I would first give a brief description about the important sections in all the three enactments. As you said, the three enactments have been passed. The first one, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. That's the first bill. So I'll go one by one. The objective of this enactment is to create a framework for the farmers to enter into farming agreements with third parties. The third parties may be agribusiness firms or processors, large retailers, exporters, or wholesalers. So the objective here is to enable both the parties to arrive at a mutually agreed price for the produce to be supplied by the farmer to the third party. So that's the basic objective of the enactment. I would just quickly give introduction about the important sections in this enactment. First, the definition clauses, which anybody can have a quick glance when they get to read, they will just understand. It's just basic definitions. Now, Section 3 talks about this farming agreement and the period. This actually discusses about all the factors which both the parties need to arrive at before they enter into the agreement, including the price, which is to be fixed before growing, other conditions, terms and conditions, including the supply of the produce, then the quality, grade, standards, so all that to be adopted in the cultivation process. And again, one important thing here is that this section says that for any legal requirement regarding this, be it registering the agreement, all the onus is on the third party, not on the farmer at all. So he's not burdened here at all to comply with any legal requirement for registration of these agreements. So the onus is only on the third party and not on the farmer. So he doesn't have any burden on that. Now the subsection 3 of section 3 talks about the minimum time frame for which the agreement can be entered. This says either one crop season or one production cycle of livestock. And the maximum period envisaged is a period of 5 years. So that's the period given for the agreement per se. And of course, the central government can issue model farming agreements to enable the parties to have a basic guideline as to how to proceed further. Now, section 4 talks about, again, it again emphasizes it proceeds from section 3, and it again explains about the mutually acceptable quality, grades, and standards of a produce. So this is again, it's being reiterated for both the parties to ensure the kind of the farming practice to be adopted, the quality and the grade and the standards to be adopted. So to make sure there is impartiality and fairness. So that's the objective of section 4. Now 5, this is the most controversial thing. This is section 5. This is similar to what we call as the MSP, the farmers which now agitate. It's minimum support price. That's what that's a current prevalent practice. So where the government gives a minimum support price for the produce made by the farmers. So in actually this section, it deals with the same analogy. It says the price which the third party is proposing to the farmer is to be fixed and determined in advance. So there is a guaranteed price to be paid for the produce. So that's what this section clearly says. So there's no ambiguity. The words are very clear. There's no ambiguity. So it talks about a clear pricing and a guaranteed price to be paid for the produce. Now section 6. Section 6 says the sponsor, I mean, again, it uses different words. The sponsor, third party, they're all the same. Any third party who enters into the agreement with the farmer. This sponsor, he has to inspect the produce. I mean, before it takes delivery, the onus is on him to inspect the produce. If he fails, then he cannot later retract from accepting the produce made by the farmer. So again, the onus is, see, all these enactments basically are beneficial legislations to help out the farmer. That's the basic objective. Okay, so then the next important is the section 8 of the agreement. Again, there's a very important section which has been figuring out in all the farmers' protests now. This agreement specifically says that at no point of time the sponsor can, acquire the ownership rights or putting any permanent modification on the farmer's land. That's completely prohibited. That's in toto. Okay, so he can neither the agreement can it prohibits any transfer, including a sale, lease, mortgage of the land or premises of the farmer. So at no point of time the farmer can be deprived of his premises. It's a very important section which has been which is given in section 8 here. Now the next important is a dispute resolution mechanism. It says in case of any dispute arising between the parties, both the parties can enter into a conciliation process. That's the first round of dispute resolution. So the conciliation board has to have members from both sides, and the parties have to engage themselves in a meaningful uh, dispute resolution process to talk about to arrive at a settlement process. In case if settlement fails and they're not able to resolve the differences, then it provides for an appellate forum. The appeal from conciliation will lie to a subdivisional magistrate. It's mostly the grade of a tahsildar. If you're aware of the term, the district subdivisional magistrate is the appellate authority to whom appeal lies from the conciliation. And there is a time frame given, a period of 30 days to resolve the disputes. And in case if any appeal again from the order of the subdivisional magistrate will go to the collector. He's the higher authority from here. So again, a time frame is given. A period of 30 days is given for disposal of appeals which go to the collector from the subdivisional magistrate. Now, again, one important thing to note here is that the Act specifically bars civil court jurisdiction. In the sense, you cannot go to any civil court for resolving your dispute. That's one notable thing which I also have to point out. But what we can say is that though civil court jurisdiction is barred, in the sense if you cannot go to court directly, any order from the collector will directly will lie as an appeal in the High Court, because the High Court exercises an writ jurisdiction. So any order from the collector, you can go to the High Court to challenge the order.
Okay.
That is understandable.
So you're almost bypassing one level and just going one level up.
No,
right?
You can only go from the order from the collector. So you have to go through conciliation, then the subdivisional magistrate, then the collector. See, what I wanted to emphasize is that though it says civil court is completely barred, you cannot go to courts directly for adjudication. You can go to the High Court from the order of the collector.
Okay.
Because any governmental order is subject to writ jurisdiction under Article 226 and 227 of the Constitution. So the High Court exercising constitutional jurisdiction, any appeal will lie to the High Court from the order of the collector. So that is very much available. Again, because the farmers had a query as to, since court this thing has been completely repealed. They were like, how we would go to court to redress our disputes. So this
but that is an interesting, but that is an interesting provision in the agreement itself. Would you agree, Ms. Vidhya? Like, it's an important segment. We can always come back to it, but it's an interesting point to note that any kind of civil appeals are barred as a very prominent part of this agreement.
Sure, this is similar to, see, if you've seen this consumer forums and debt recovery tribunal, or even in those cases, you have separate tribunals for such purposes. So you don't come to normal civil court. Yeah, similar. Of course, I think the government now is also committed to amend this portion, because there's been a lot of controversy, regarding this bar of civil court jurisdiction. So the government is in fact, it's committed to even make some amendments to introduce this thing. But at the outset, when I get to read this, nothing bars the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. That is always there. You can always challenge the order of the collector. You can go to High Court.
Right.
So that need not be spelled out in the enactment, but it's obvious, because as advocates we would know, because any order of any governmental authority, if he exercises, misuses or abuses his power, or the order can be assailed to the High Court under writ jurisdiction of the Constitution, because the High Court specifically exercises writ jurisdiction. So that power is anyway there. But we would go and discuss further on the civil court jurisdiction as we proceed further on that. And section 23 here empowers the state government to make rules. See, we are still in a stage where rules have not been notified. Only the enactment has been passed. So to get more clarity and to get more clarity on that, and to give emphasis of any other ambiguous section, so-called. So only when the rules actually come into picture, we will have a better idea as to what this enactment actually says, to cover those gray areas, to ambiguous areas. So the state government here is empowered, not the central government. In this enactment, the state government is empowered to bring out the rules, to explain the act further, because it's a very normal thing. If any enactment is passed, then rules also follow to
For
give
sure.
more clarity. Okay, so that's the first enactment, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act. Now we would proceed to the second one. It's called the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. This,
Right.
the objective here, see, the main objective here is to enable the farmer to sell his produce anywhere and everywhere. So far, the
Right.
farmer could sell his produce only through the APMC mandis. Okay, so as till date, a farmer cannot sell his produce directly to the public. He only has to take it to the local market called the APMC mandis. Only then, only that's the place designated for him to sell his produce. Now, this act intends to change the very basic scenario. It aims to give the farmer a wide, broad spectrum, so he can sell to anyone and everyone, anywhere and everywhere. So it aims to provide an online platform for the farmers. The words used are interstate or intrastate. So anywhere within the state or within the country, wherever he can find a good buyer and good rate for his produce, he's perfectly encouraged to do so, because the objective is to help him get a good rate for his produce. Ultimately, that's the objective of this enactment, because it's all beneficial legislation. The basic objective is to empower the farmer and to make him benefit out of give reward for his hard work. So that's the basic objective. So this is to encourage the farmer to sell his produce anywhere and everywhere, interstate and intrastate. Okay, that's the objective. Then again, section 2 talks about the basic definition clauses again, which we can understand by just fairly reading as to what they mean. So it's a basic definition clauses. Then section 4 here, it says that the trader, again it emphasizes saying that the trader can engage in the interstate or the intrastate of the scheduled farmers produce with the farmer or another trader in a trade area. See here, the third party with whom the farmer can encourage, with whom the farmer engages in the trade, he has to have a PAN number. So it tries to bring the agricultural sector, to bring in more transparency to the sector. So long it was not transparent at all. So whatever net worth, whatever produce, whatever sale which happens in this trade, the enactment tries to bring in some transparency. So the trader who engages with the farmer, he has to have a PAN. That's a permanent account number under the Income Tax Act or any other document as notified by the central government. So without the PAN number, he cannot operate with the farmer. So that's
basically
important.
So basically any kind of third party, like previously, we've heard stories at the APMC mandis, the level of corruption was so high where, anybody with any kind of like cash amounts of money or any kind of other non-government, so that it's not tracked really well, could still come and buy the farmer's produce. So here you're saying that the act basically mandates the buyer to also have a record of purchase, so to say, as well as a record of validity of their existence.
Exactly. That's the objective. So unless he has, so it's an online platform, moreover, because only when you have this record, it can be tracked. So the idea here is to track any transaction which occurs in the farming sector. That's to bring in more transparency. Okay, that's the main thing. Section 4 is very important here. And again, one more important section now, section 6. See, till date, for any transaction which the farmer for his produce, when he sells it in the mandis, the price is determined after levying a tax. The APSC mandi will levy a tax for the produce, which the farmer sells in the mandis. Now, for this if the farmer is able to find a buyer, see again, APMC is not eliminated. They are still they're going to coexist. The farmer still has a choice. He can go to the mandi or he can go to any third person. Now, if in case the farmer happens to find a buyer outside the mandi, be it within the state or within the country, and for any such transaction, the APMC or the state government cannot levy any tax at all. This again is very
those
beneficial.
Transactions.
Exactly, in those transactions for the farmer, which is engaging with any third party, the state government or the APMC cannot impose any tax or market fee or cess or levy for such transaction at all. So the objective is to avoid this tax burden on the farmer. So he's not bound to pay any tax, because so long for any produce, for any sale which he makes in the mandi, he has to pay a tax. That's how it is all along. So now this new enactment does away with that. The farmer is not bound to pay any tax, or in fact, the language used is that the onus is more on the state government not to impose any tax on any such transaction entered by the farmer with a third party. Again, it
Okay.
talks about we now come to the dispute resolution sections. This is very similar to what we saw in the earlier enactment. The first is a conciliation board, which has members from both sides. Then the appellate authority is the subdivisional authority, the Tahsildar. Then you go to the collector. Similar on the same lines on the earlier enactment. Now again, there is one new section which has been introduced here, section 9, which says if in case if the trader, because he's the one who has the right and the onus is on him to maintain this online platform, because the farmers, the burden is not on them to create the online platform and all that. So the trader, in case if he adopts any malpractice, in operating or in creating this online electronic platform, it imposes a penalty on the trader for such malpractices.
So when
that's
you say
section 9
creation
talks
of
about it.
Can you please clarify the point where you say the online platform are you talking purely about monetary transactions, or are you talking about the actual sale of the farmer's produce and the entire transaction there? So basically, are you saying that the act says the farmer can sell their produce to this trader through an online transaction only?
Exactly. Because this is to make it more easier for the farmer, because if you're going to adopt intrastate outside India, it's not possible to physically transfer the produce. So online platform will save time and effort on both sides to finalize the deal. Okay. So and if it's online, you can track it also better. So that's the basic objective. So it says it encourages. In fact, I wouldn't say it completely bars other kind of sale, because since the APMC sale is also there, it's not that as if the farmer has to do only through online. It isn't so. He's given an alternate platforms, either through the mandis, local produce, he can continue his existing system, or he can adopt the online platform. He's given a flexibility to choose either of it. But in case of the online platform, again, this is to make sure the farmer is not again misused by the trader, exploited by the trader. So to make sure there are no malpractices, this section has been introduced, which imposes a penalty, including even, I think, and every trader here has to have a license again to operate. So this also includes suspending the license and the right to operate in the electronic platform. So this is on the trader to make sure he doesn't engage in any malpractice. So that's one important section given under section 9 of the enactment. Then here, the central government has been empowered to make rules for this enactment. Again, we don't have rules as of now. We only have the enactment. So the rules have to come, and which will throw more clarity into all those gray areas. So here the central government has been empowered to notify the rules, and it's supposed to come out very soon. So that's all about this enactment. So we finished 2 enactments now. Then we move on to the Essential Commodities Act. There's a very small enactment. So I just have to give a very basic picture as to what it is. So long the government used to exercise a lot of control in lot of food products till date. Including cereals, pulses, potato, onions, edible oil seeds, and oils. So the government was exercising a lot of control. So the objective of this amendment, we already have the Essential Commodities Act. So now what has been introduced is the Essential Commodities Amendment Act, wherein the government will no longer exercise control in these products. The object here is to bring in private investment, because agriculture for very long has not been open, and we know what happened to Indian economy after 1991, when it was globalized, and we have seen the growth that the country has witnessed all along. So the objectives, like akin to opening up the Indian economy, the government here wants to open up the agricultural sector so that it would attract private investment. And private investment would come in only when governmental control is also reduced. So if the government has to reduce its its control. So some cereals, some foodstuffs have been removed from this Essential Commodities Act, so that the private sector is encouraged to kick in investment, to bring in investment. Only then the farmers can get access to technology, to R&D, for them to prosper, because we need to find out more viable and profitable means. The farmers need to get access to all that to grow more and to produce better and to earn better profits. So that's the basic objective. So it removes these products which I've mentioned. The government cannot exercise control in these products. And it says only in case of 100% increase in the retail price of horticulture produce, or a 50% increase in the retail price of non-perishable agricultural foodstuffs. So only in case of an unprecedented inflation, or in case of a famine or a war or extraordinary price rise and natural calamity, can the government intervene. Otherwise, the
Okay.
government will not exercise control in the pricing of these products.
Okay.
So that's the main. The other section is just a routine one. So this is the main thing. The objective is to reduce governmental control to attract private investment. So I hope I've given a brief description about the important sections in all the three enactments. So I'm hoping to hear from you also as to what you have to say on these.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vidya. These were, I think it was really important to highlight, like, obviously from a expert point of view, you've highlighted some of the main sections of these three acts, which are obviously either the ones that are causing the controversy or actually the ones that are relaying the main objectives of these three bills. So I think now it's time to go on to the panelists to have, after you've heard this entire description from Advocate S. Vidhya about these bills, I think this is the time we want to open up the floor. Based on the agenda, we're going to start with Manu. So what are your thoughts? Let's start off there first, after listening to Advocate S. Vidhya explain these bills.
Yeah, sure. First, thanks so much, Ananya, for the introduction. And thanks S. Vidhya for providing a great explanation on these three bills. Now to start with, for the benefit of the larger audience, let me briefly explain what this APMC system is, and then I will explain why these farm bills are important. So the old farm produce laws, the creation of the Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee, what we know as APMC, they came into existence almost around 135 years ago to feed the colonial masters raw cotton for the textile mills in Manchester. So as the UK mills need cotton that time, and India, despite being a large agriculture-based economy, didn't produce cotton. So to incentivize farmers to produce cotton, they bought a minimum price to support the crop. But at the same time, they want to ensure that the farmers will not be able to sell the cotton outside or in a free market. So they impose a condition in which the farmers cannot sell their produce to anyone, okay, but only through APMC. And it is up to APMC who will auction it to whomsoever they want to sell at whatever the price. So the farmer was then obligated, required, or even forced to sell to the masters in a regulated market whose regulation was set by the colonial masters. So the essence of that 136 or whatever years old law remained with some amendments, remain even today, but the main essence remains that the primary cereal in India are sold under APMC only, with the MSP supporting the crop. So now the government has passed some laws. The government has given the freedom to farmers, stating that they may sell the produce to outsiders as well, with existing system will stay. So the second line is important, that existing system will stay. So what these new laws are, the new laws are just giving an alternative option. Now the MSP will stay, the land cannot be mortgaged, so no one can take over the land. Then what this protest are for? I'll tell you why. Only because the APMC system, it will be exposed in free markets. Rich middlemen, or what they call in locally as kacha or pakka traders, they just can't exploit the farmer in the name of MSP. And then taking the crop from the farmers, they sell in the retail market and make hefty profit. And now the farmer can sell it at higher price as well. And it is very likely that the people who are blindly supporting that APMCs and traders, they actually are unaware of these simple facts. As Vidhya mentioned, that in 1991, the government freed the industry from its cage, and the results are there for everybody to see. As the GDP growth in India has doubled to an average of more than 6% over the last almost 30 years since 1991, and from the previous average of less than 3% since independence. So for the reasons best known to the political economist, agriculture was not freed in 1991 or thereafter even until now. Now the farmers are still forced to sell their marketable produce only through a mandi regulated by the government. the new reform law provides a farmer an option to sell to APMC, but at the same time, he can sell it outside the APMC as well. It's the farmer's choice. APMC system will stay. Yes, if the farmer doesn't want, okay, they can go directly to it. It's just giving an option, but what's happening in the market? There is a massive misinformation campaign, which is done everywhere that, what, APMC will vanish, MSP will go away, or, even the corporates, they will take away or snatch your land. All this massive misinformation campaign has actually forced the farmers to think, okay, everyone is talking about these laws. There must be something wrong. If not today, maybe tomorrow, something is gone wrong, But in fact, nothing of this sort has been written anywhere. So it's all those misinformation. And
sorry, go ahead, Manu.
Yeah. And there's also a misinformation in the market that farmers are naive. They don't know. They are uneducated people. So they don't know how to enter into a contract, with a big corporate firm. So I will take some example which is happening in India. Take the example of milk, where corporate federalism is allowed. In milk, there's a cooperative, there are domestic private players, and then there are multinational players as well. So all are procuring milk from the farmer without any dispute. Farmers are satisfied on both sides. And then the result, the milk's growth is 3 times faster than that of cereals. Look at poultry sector. It's flying at a rate of 8 to 10%. Look at fishery. They're all growing 3 to 5 times the rate of growth in cereal. And they're all being handled by the private sector. And that's the reason, why that cash crop growing states, like Maharashtra, the Gujarat, and the southern states, where farmers are already dealing with private sector, they are actually welcoming this law. So, and again to, introduce this law, in essence, today, like out of 200 countries, almost 195 countries, in the world, they allow the farmer to sell their produce to whosoever they want to. Okay, it's only 4 to 5 countries where these law or these archaic law still exist, So
no, completely agree, Manu. I'll have to, I'll definitely appreciate your outlooks as well as the statistics. You're absolutely correct in that sense. But as you would agree that the APMC system has always historically been a very corrupt system. And as you have rightly said, the middlemen have benefited the most out of it, right? But there have been examples where, for example, when companies like cellular companies like Airtel and Idea were introduced in conjunction with Bharti Telecom, I believe that was the government regulated telecom company. Eventually, Bharti Telecom faded, or it was BSNL, I believe. Sorry, and the government telecom company died, and then Airtel and Idea were charging people ginormous amounts of money because they now controlled the market, because there wasn't this third historic body that people were used to when it comes to subsidized rates. So do you think that's one of the main concerns of the farmers, that this could happen in this sector, and the misinformation, as you say, that is going around could possibly come true, where the APMC could eventually be dissolved, and the farmers fear that one option will eventually be taken away?
Well, thank you so much, Ananya, for bringing this question, raising this question. It's a very valid question you raised. But what you said that private company will come and today somebody else will take over, and but the beauty of free market is the true competition prevails. That is the true beauty. In India, if we talk to our parents, like how difficult it was to get a telephone connection. There used to be some landline phones, okay, and those landline phone sometimes they work. And there was a guy, I just forget his name. He always used to come to our house. I was from New Delhi, so there he called MTNL used to operate it.
Yes,
okay.
same. Yeah.
That guy used to come, and then you have to pay him some sort of that Diwali gift, or some sort of bi-monthly sort of say, Bhaiya, meri line please continue rakhna, right? So those sort of system, and then the prices were high. Then in 1999, the markets were allowed to free. And now look the prices in India compared to anywhere else in the world. right?
Oh, that's true.
So they in India in telecom sector is a true success story of what free markets can do to the world, right? Now India, if you say the ARPU, average revenue per user, that is the lowest in India. If you see the data rates, they're the lowest in India. If you see the calling rate, they're the lowest in India. Industry, yes, it is consolidating. New technology, yes, it is emerging. India is now inspiring to be the leader in the 5G technology. In fact, I'm hearing that there are news of 6G technology as well. So that's the advantage of having a free market. And it's not one sector, or it's not one state, one country. If you see across the world, whenever a country has gone or allowed the free markets to operate, then markets makes its own means and balances. And once it consolidates, then you can see that everything goes well. Now we are all living in Canada. You can see that farmers have the freedom, whomsoever they were allowed to sell. They can book the trades, futures right before the crop season even starts. So, and the farmers are flourishing over here.
No, very well. Thank you very much for your inputs there, Manu. Obviously, a lot of good insights and some great statistics for us to consider. I think it's really important to hear the other side of our debate as well. And we're very happy to have Arsh join us, especially whose family for several generations has been the Kisan or the farmers that we're talking about, and these laws, for whom these laws that we're making. So I think it's really important to hear what they have to say and get some clarity. So Arsh, take it away. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for this tons of information now. It's totally new for me, eh? So let's talk about it. Thanks, Vidhya, for all the guidelines provided by the law. So let's talk about, not about sections, not about numbers. I'm not going to talk about anything. And I'm going to talk mostly in Hindi, not in Punjabi, and a little bit in English, okay?
Okay.
So
in case if I don't follow anything you say, I would require a slight translation. So I'm not very conversant with any. So
that will work.
Absolutely.
Totally fine with me. So as per Manu said, and as per you said, I'm on same page. New bills will change, but not in our country, not in India. That's my belief. And that's how everybody on the ground level believes it. Because we heard so many stories, we heard so many promises. I have a question. Why we are in rush to implement those laws? Why we are in rush? Nobody came to my village to educate any single farmer. These laws gonna come in next year. They will help you in this way, right? If they want to do notebandi, right away, night, notebandi. ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਡੰਡੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਆਮ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰੋਡ ਤੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਡੰਡੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਪੈਸੇ ਬੈਂਕਾਂ ਡਿਲੀਵਰ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੋਟਬੰਦੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਦੇਖੇ ਆ, ਆਮ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੇ ਡੰਡੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਵੀ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਦੇਖੇ ਆ। ਆਮ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਅ ਕੀ ਆ, ਆਮ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ they have no clue how many papers you have in front of you, Vidhya ji. They have no clue what's written on them. High courts are end point for farmers. They don't know, they don't care if there is a high court. They just care if their family is getting fed. They care if it's gonna rain and the crop's gonna destroy it. And it's not only in Punjab, it's all over in India. Why we are in so rush? Like in COVID time, we passed the law. Okay, there is from 60 days, farmers are protesting in Punjab. Nobody listened. Nobody came to them for talking. And when they start marching to Delhi, now they want to talk. Like it's our right to get education. It's our right to, if they are passing something, we need to know 2 years ahead. This is coming for you. And that's everybody's rights. And if they want to protest, if they can do big rallies in Delhi, they have full rights to do protest. Nobody do water cannon, tear gas. Like, they are not criminals, man. If they're asking for their rights, just talk to them from day one. Okay, numbers. Everybody cares about the numbers. Let's talk about numbers. How many businessmen are still owing our country money? How many big firms which are already owing thousands of crore? And we promised, I will get 15 lakh and I will do party in Delhi. I am still waiting on that 15 lakh in my bank account. Never showed up. It's never showed up. Like, I'm still missing my parties. That's crazy. We can't believe whatever they're going to say. I totally respect your knowledge, Vidyaji. Yes, on paper, things look really good. But High Court's files are still pending. High Court files are still pending, on which we still are waiting. Next hearing, next hearing. And then nothing. We are talking, farmers are ground level people. They don't care what law is. They just want to know if they are getting good services, right? They are in panic mode right now. In COVID situation, they have to protest. Think of their pain, right? So my concern is like, yes, if bills are okay, if the government, like Canada government is ruling over India, no problem. You can make like 6 bills over there. I know, because government is caring about the ground level people. They're going to care about them. They're not going to care about the business people. But our country's history says our governments are always supporting businesses, not general public. No, they don't care. And that's, I don't have to say anything. You guys have proof. Google it. There are so many things, so many corruptions. Are big businessmen still owe us money. कहाँ है वो? कौन पकड़ रहा है उनको? 15 लाख आता नहीं, बातें करी जाते हैं. रूल बनाना बनाओ यार. रूल बनते हैं कंट्रियों में, ऐसे थोड़ी बनते हैं कि धक्का ही करी चलो. अब बुजुर्ग लोग आए हैं, उनको मारोगे आप, किसान है वो. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. देश थोड़ी है हमारा.
So then Arsh, if I can clarify, so आपकी basic, so अगर हम लोग उन लोगों की बात करें जो protests को support कर रहे हैं, the whole idea behind supporting the protest is to actually just government to hear out the farmers, and they're not necessarily opposed to the rules. Problem ये है कि ये जो ground level के जो किसान हैं, जो टेक्निकली लाइक उनको सिर्फ अपनी फसल से लेना देना है, अपनी फैमिली चल रही है उससे लेना देना है. दे आर नॉट कंसर्न्ड अबाउट द ब्यूरोक्रेटिक इम्प्लीकेशंस ऑफ रूल्स. सो ये प्रोटेस्ट जो हो रहे हैं, काफी मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन तो है, बट आपके ख्याल में ये प्रोटेस्ट मेनली इसलिए हो रहे हैं कि फार्मर्स चाहते हैं कि भाई करना है जो करो, पर हमको बताओ तो सही, आप बिना बताए रूल पास कर दोगे तो हम
रूल बनाओगे, पास कर दोगे, ला दोगे, कल को कोई 1000 करोड़ लेके भाग गया, कोर्ट केस चलेगा. लिखा वहां पे, विद्या जी के पास लिखा है केस चलेगा. यस, केस चलेगा, लेकिन उनका पैसा नहीं आएगा. मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको, नहीं आएगा. पहले भी नहीं आया, नहीं आता वहां पे.
सो इवन दो विद्या जी बोल रहे हैं कि ओनर्स ट्रेडर पे है या ओनर्स थर्ड पार्टी इन्वेस्टर पे है,
like Kingfisher guy, he has a PAN number. Everybody has PAN number. Sorry, I'm interrupting, right?
No,
Those
sure, go ahead.
businesses, they was in trade, but corruption is at bigger level. We all know in our country corruption is there. Our legal departments cannot work properly because of corruption.
So the fear is
a law. If you're gonna make new bills, make it. At least give public notice of at least 1 year to discuss, right? Why we are in so rush to pass it? Because I know there are corporate structure who have like 1,000 crore investment in it. They just want to do it a cash cow. We all understand business, right? Don't we? Why we are in so rush? No, India is not going anywhere day tomorrow. Like GDP is not gonna boost right away with these laws. No. Privatize, right. We agree. Private sector is the best sector to support, and everybody makes money in private sector, right? We are in Canada. We all know that, right? The only thing we over there is the corruption, and the way they do things is not. They don't care about general public. They just want to do it for corporate structure to support them.
For clarity, the farmers are not necessarily opposed to rules and regulation as much as to the corruption that they fear is going to happen when private companies take charge. Is that the main concern?
Yes, we all know that. First, they say you can only approach to a DC or a Tahsildar, right? And these are the amendments. After that, you can go to there. First, there was that's it. If they deny it, you are canned. I know how to get a denial from the officials over there. I have 4 there. We all know that. I don't have to say those things. It's a ground level reality. Everything looks good on paper, but not this way. The way they are putting things right now is all the support is from the corporate structure. They're gonna अच्छे दिन आएंगे, लेकिन सिर्फ और सिर्फ corporate structure के आएंगे. किसान आज भी खुदकुशियां कर रहा है, आगे भी करेगा. क्योंकि right now they don't have control on anything. and there is a big change coming, they're already like, no clue what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'd like to add for our audiences from a very neutral perspective, like while Manu and Arsh are right in their own perspectives, I do want to point out that the farmers, even though like Arsh rightly pointed, everything looks really good on paper, but I think the farmers are not so educated or understanding of laws unless it is simplified for them or unless they're given enough time to understand these laws. Arsh, would you have any more inputs before we move back to Advocate S. Vidhya?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for putting your points forward. Really appreciate it. And I think that gives a lot of clarity to our viewers as well as to why the farmers are protesting. So based on what you said, Arsh, it's not necessarily a clear defiance of the rules, but just to understand why the rush and why the haste in moving into the industry, privatizing the industry.
Yes, why we are in so rush? The only question I have is why rush? Why not enough time given to on the education side of the things? Why the teams are not built to which they can go and people can ask questions 2 years down the road? Then they can, okay, now if we have this much majority of people, we need this voting done, and yes, we will apply those laws.
No, thank you very much. Vidhya, you've heard both sides of the coin, and Manu and Arsh both have brought up some incredible information and a lot of clarity as well, and good comparisons. So, in your experience, don't you think it is actually fair to give the farmers a little bit more time, or what are your thoughts from this discussion?
See, before I go move on to your question, I just want to answer one question which Harsh put across. See, here the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, it ensures that payment is made within 3 working days. Because I think there has been an instance in Maharashtra recently where the acts have already come into force. So Maharashtra, I think some people were benefited out of this provision. They had not realized the payment for their produce for more than 4 months. And now, since this enforces within a period of 3 working days, the farmers could actually realize their income for the produce they made. So that's one data which I had read a few days ago. Now, coming to the question.
Out of here, sorry. When we had sugar mills over there, right? And that was like same kind of setup, almost same kind of setup, right? Sugar mills, there was kind of semi-private, and still the money is stuck with the farmers. And their papers say the payment will be clear in, I think, approx 30 days. But our own money is stuck from like, I will say 18 years now with sugar mills. No hearing, nothing. Same model. On paper, it was 30.
Actually, sugar mill is actually a success story. What has happened, especially in last 3 to 4 years, what has happened some 18 years back down the line, it may be some technical issue. I don't know what's happening, but I'm telling you what's happening for the last 4 years. I belong from UP, and now all those sugar farmers loans and everything. So the entire onus of change in commodity here is the sugar, lies on the industry. Farmer at the start of crop season, they get the advances for to procure the raw material for the crop, the seeds and fertilizers. And at end of the crop, irrespective of whatever is happening in the industry, whatever is happening on the sugarcane price side, they are realizing their payments. So if you ask any farmer, because sugarcane, like it's more than 50% of the produce is from the UP, and then another 30% is from the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So if you talk to farmers of those regions, you will realize that now, last 3 to 4 years, sugarcane industry has actually improved a lot, especially for the farmers. I'm not talking about what is happening in the sector per se. So that's again a reality.
I love it hearing from you on that side. That's what happened in Punjab. We still money is stuck, man. So that's what is going to happen. Like on few areas, this bill's going to go very good, right? On few areas, they're going to like. It's like you can't estimate everything gonna go 100%, right? It's gonna go situations on different areas, different like geographical areas, right? But I'm talking about on the government side, like UP, now it's improving. Your area is good, but still the money is stuck, and there is the witness right in front of you.
Okay, just in the In the interest of time, I think we need to move on to Advocate Vidhya for some final thoughts, and appreciate putting both sides of the debate here. Vidhya ji, what would you have to?
Sure, I would like to mention here regarding this MSP system as to how it came into force, how it started in our country. In fact, this whole system, it all started in 1960s when India was reeling under a severe food shortage in the 60s and 70s. So that's when the government, and basic food here means paddy and wheat. Okay, so government, to encourage the farmers to produce more rice and wheat, brought in this minimum security price to give an incentive to the farmers to grow more of these crops, because we were really reeling under a shortage. But now we are in an age today when we have gone past it. Now today we produce more than what we require, and much more. In fact, much more than what we need to store also. Today, most of the rice and wheat procured by the government under MSP system, I think there are 23 crops, but only 2 are very popular, rice and wheat. So the government, especially in Punjab and Haryana, 85% of the produce of rice and wheat is procured by the government through MSP, through the Food Corporation of India. See, how it happens is that the farmer sells is produced to the mandi, and the central government, through the Food Corporation of India, procures from the mandi and stores in its godowns. And what happens is that today, and these are distributed to the public freely through the public distribution system. It's given free. Despite all that, we still have so much more stored in the godowns, and which end up rotting every year. So the problem is, we end up producing more and more of what we already have in surplus, and we end up importing oil seeds. In the sense, India being an agricultural country, we need to become self-sufficient in all the crops which we need.
Right.
And rice and wheat being extremely water-dependent crops, there is a severe drain on the water resource. Ground table today, I think by in 20 years down the line, India is facing a severe freshwater shortage. Because since the government encourages only rice and wheat, I mean, under the guise of MSP, so the farmers, I mean, understandably, since they are sure of an incentive, they want to keep growing more of rice and wheat. But they have to see, we have to broaden our outlook and realize what we really need. Today, the consumption habits have changed. We have gone past rice and wheat. We consume more proteins and other nutrient-rich foods because it's an evolving economy. We have gone past the stage. So the farmers have to broaden their outlook and realize what they can produce, So we have to really broaden outlook. I agree, but I'm surprised why the protest is mainly because I'm reading all the articles and all that. It's mainly from Punjab and Haryana. Because here is where the government, because the government acquires 85% of the produce through the MSP system, and the farmers, since they have assured of a guaranteed price, but they have to be. I mean, I agree with Harsha that they have to be given more time to realize what they can do, the potential which they have through the bills. Let's take the example of Amul. It's a success story. The farmers in 1940s, when they were exploited by the middlemen, they approached Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Patel, in fact, hinted them to become entrepreneurs. So the farmers, they started Amul and this as a cooperative society to mainly advance their common economic interest. The objective is not a profit motive here. So they would collect the milk. In fact, dealing with such a highly perishable product like milk, today Amul is a success story.
Correct.
So it's a perfect example of contract farming. We have Amul, we have Hatson Foods, then we have Suguna Poultry. All these industries have thrived.
But
so I would say we should give it a chance to see how it works.
But I think to Arsha's point, Vidhya, I don't think that the problem here is giving the chance. I think the problem here is the rush of it all, and kind of being instead of giving them the democratic rights of understanding the full scheme and giving them the time to get used to it, because I'm sure the Amul success story didn't start in one day. They needed some time to understand the idea and then proceed with a plan. But right now, when how Arsh rightly pointed out, the demonetization strategy and now these bills, they're being passed down fairly quickly. So I guess the agitation comes from that lack of information and the rush of it all, and not exactly opposing what's entailed in the bills or the future strategy, so to say, into diversifying into the crops.
See, if you read just one sec, I just want to, before I interrupt the flow of thought. See, if you see the history of these enactments, for the last 17 years, they have been in deliberation. Okay, it's not yesterday or today. I understand the government could have given more information. I think they could have spent more time in actually explaining the bills that they ought to have done, which I felt. But since 1991, since the early 90s, the mandis failed to prove effective, frankly, because the data shows that farmers are not getting benefited out of it, and most of the profits are only being taken by the middlemen, and they are actually politically appointed and all that. So we know how it works. So the problem is every government which has come in the center, it has been deliberating upon these bills for the last
Right.
17 years. It's not something which has just come up. But the government should have given more time. Probably, I think they should spend more time in informing about the bills, explaining about these bills to the public. That I would definitely
Yes.
concede. They ought to have done that. But was it a real rush? And I wouldn't say that, but probably to explain the bills better, because there aren't many government channels coming across, media to explain these bills, which I'm really unhappy about. They should take
Right.
that time and give that focus on it to explain the bills more.
I
That's
think that
definitely important.
explains. I think that explains a lot of the negative internet environment as well, because like I said before, these days even the Indian media, as much as it's sad to say, but the Indian media is also politically driven, and they are very, very driven upon their, from a corporate perspective, to see how much TRPs they can make. So they run all sorts of stories instead of having healthy conversations like the one that we're having today, where facts are being read. Like, and Arsh rightly said, he didn't even know a lot of this information until we had the discussion, right? And from his perspective, we're coming to know what's the main reason for the whole uproar and the displeasure. Like, and as you rightly pointed out, like, sure, pass the bills, but at least give these people an opportunity to understand what's coming for them, especially
Sorry for interrupting you. I need to add one more point as to why the government suddenly brought in during this COVID time. Now, what happened
Yes.
was that due to COVID, the farmers were given the freedom to sell their produce anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
Exactly.
they were not. It was not mandatory for them to sell only through the mandis, because they wanted to prevent crowding and all that. So the farmers were given the liberty during for the past 6-7 months. They were given the liberty to sell their produce anywhere they want, and the government found
Okay.
that it's been a success.
And at the
Okay.
same
That is
time,
why they had
government
brought in these bills now.
At the
One more
same
thing
time,
to add.
government was aware that after imposing those strict measures in the month of March, lot of migrant laborers, they moved back to their villages.
Correct.
And they have started into farming. So the government
Correct.
was aware that this year the crop is going to be bumper. Then who's going to buy
Correct.
that crop? And there has to be industry, there has to be market for it. So in the
Correct.
June, they came out with an audience. Yes, everybody can laugh. It's a democracy as well. But that's the very fact. Yes, information should have been increased from the government side. They should be more out to educate everybody. But at the same time, what has happened actually in India is that misinformation campaign, they were way, way, way faster than that information campaign. And that's why all this chaos we are in. But at the same time, one has to understand that if you don't like the bill, the beauty of the bill is you don't have to go with it. The existing system will stay. So
Right.
it doesn't make any sense if you say, okay, I don't know what kind of this bill is. The bill has come overnight. My life will change. No, if you don't want to change your life can stay the way it is till the time you want. Because existing system, the essence is existing system will stay. And the bill is only giving you an additional option, to sell wherever you want. Now, back home in India, what's happening is the bills have been tagged as the Kale bill. And now the government is going all out. Finally, they're going all out. Okay, let's have talk. But before the talk, what's happening is, okay, yes or no. First, ye sare bill wapis lo, repeal all these bills. And then only we can have any talk. So now that's also not a democracy, right?
And I think, yes. And I think to your point, Manu, that has probably happened because of the misinformation campaign running faster than the actual information campaign,
much
which is
faster.
It has created an area of panic, because of which people are now like, no, it's black or white. We cannot have any other conversations in the middle. In the essence of time, I will have to adjourn our conversation here. Thank you very much to everybody who joined us, especially Advocate Vidhya. I know it's super early there in India, so thank you very much for joining us and for having this very incredibly informative conversation to enlighten us about what the bills actually entail, as well as how or not how well they're being interpreted and how the rules are yet to be enacted, and what exactly is it going to do for the farmers, from giving them a choice to opening them up to free market for their own benefit. So thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciate the participation of Manu and Arsh. Thank you very much for presenting two sides of the coin for our viewers so that everybody can make an informed opinion. And on behalf of Indian Society of Calgary, I want to thank all our viewers for joining us this evening. We know the farmers are protesting, and it is not a pleasant scenario what they're facing in India. However, it is their democratic right to protest. So if you do want to help them, there are several online channels where you can go to donate for food or any kind of items that they require in order to support them in this difficult time. If you wish to do so, there are several online channels, but it's really important for you to have an informed opinion and not go with whatever the media puts out there. So we thought as a group it was important to get you some clarity. So thank you very much once again, everybody. Have a good evening, and Vidhya ji, have a lovely morning. Thank you very much once again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks.